The highway that cuts through the trees of Heartland divides Providence and links two cities from two Midwestern states, Missouri and Kansas. It's long and winding, with several blind turns, two of which are positioned at both ends of the stretch through Providence. You hit one going in, you hit one going out, no matter whether you come in from the north or the south. Dr. Brian Brown, you are on this highway, in your car at a dead stop. There are several cars, trucks, a few semis in line, backed up with you. You're probably about a mile outside of the turn to Providence. Just a little before you would hit one of those tree-lined blind turns from this direction. Where you are at, there is a break in the trees, and you can see the late summer cornfields have gone in the fields, and on your side of the highway is the Light of Life Church. And the big parking lot is there, and you can see the church. It's an older building. You've heard the rumblings of them talking about building a new one. In fact, where you're stopped at, the traffic is about 25 yards ahead of where you would turn into their drive, being blocked by a large Ford dually pickup truck with double smokestacks that for some reason has been sitting there for the last 15 minutes along with you. And while you were smart enough to shut your vehicle off, or maybe you've got the AC running, I'm not quite sure. He's obviously got his running as billows of black smoke keep pouring out, and you can hear him revving from time to time, probably in frustration. Tell us about your car. Let me ask you this. Do you like it?
It gets the job done. It's a 2014 Honda Civic. So it's a little bit of an older model. It gets him from point A to point B.
What color is it?
It is a silver.
Did you buy it new or used?
Used.
Honda Civics. Good to buy used cars.
Mm-hmm.
You put 250,000 miles on them if you change the oil. So you're sitting there in the car. Do you have the windows up and the AC running, or?
No, the windows are down, AC's off, the car's off until things start moving again.
It's hot. It's July. Middle of July.
Yeah. Suffer in silence, as they say.
Why don't you describe yourself for the audience?
Dr. Brian Brown is a very tall individual. He's often the focus of attention whenever he walks into a room just because of how tall he is. He's 6'2", if I didn't mention that before. He has Buddy Holly glasses and sandy brown hair. usually clean shaven. The most hair he gets is like that really sexy man stubble. He gets that whenever he's like not thinking about his appearances. He dresses quite well. He has to look professional at most times. He's a professor, so he has to keep that air of authority about him. And just to give you a good visual of like what he might look like, passing him on the street, he resembles to a certain point a 7th year Neville Longbottom.
All right.
Just a tall, skinny kid. Well, man.
Right. So, two things I picked up on that you said: the focus of attention, and then the thinking about how good looking he is. Is that Austin's opinion, or is that Brian's opinion?
Brian's opinion. And I mean, he's not ugly. Like he's a generally good-looking guy.
So he's good looking and he knows it.
Yeah.
Is he
Yeah.
is he vain about it?
So he is, I wouldn't consider vain, but very prideful now because he grew up, much like Neville Longbottom did. He was often ridiculed in, grade school and high school, and then he moved away for a number of years, studied at a very nice college, and then turned into a very dapper gentleman.
Well, so he was kind of a nerd in school and then bloomed.
Absolutely. Exactly.
Later.
He, just for reference, he was definitely
Took
part
me
of
40 years.
He was definitely part of the chess club and debate team. So,
what are you listening to as you sit there in the car?
some classical jazz, maybe some Coltrane or Ellington. Just something very melodic and beautiful to him, to Brian.
It's kind of odd as you sit there in your car listening to your music. It's hot. Trying not to sweat, but you are. The commercials in between songs seem to be too frequent. Maybe you're just noticing them a lot. But I mean, literally, in a 15-minute period, you've probably heard at least 3 commercials for the Light of Life Church. Reverend Abernathy Page. That's a church that's right there next to you. And thinking about it, you can actually hear some commotion coming from over there. And when you look, you see there's 3 women. One probably in her mid-30s. Light brown, sandy blonde hair. The other 2 are teenagers, seemingly in an argument. The older woman strikes one of the 2 teens, like a full backswing, open hand, nice follow through, sends the girl spinning to her knees. She immediately snatches the other one by the ear and starts to pull her from the parking lot towards the church's front door. The one that's still in the parking lot, you hear her screaming, probably at the top of her lungs. You've got your windows rolled down because it's so hot. They're only 50 yards away. God does love me. God loves me. And then she starts to hit herself, screaming inaudibly, rambling words. What do you do?
Brian is very curious about the situation, so he's observing everything and kind of like making notations of like who's wearing like what, certain indicators of who a person could be, just in case, the cops get called, and Brian can help identify who did what. Is there Has the traffic moved at all? No. Yeah, Brian's not someone who instigates things, so he is just going to continue observing the situation and mentally notating everything that happens until traffic moves.
Yeah, several interesting things happen. The truck, a few cars in front of you, still revving. And you can hear it has to be the driver of that truck, obviously yelling, cursing something out the door, obviously getting more and more impatient. One of the teenagers has gone inside the church, obviously at the direction of this woman, and we're assuming it's her mother. Goes back out to the parking lot. The other one is still in the middle of the parking lot having a fit, hitting herself. You can see that scratch marks have appeared on her face. It's drawn blood. The mother comes out, grabs her by the collar, lifts her to her feet, hits her again, and then starts to drag her into the church.
At that point, I believe I have seen enough abuse to warrant reporting it. So I pull out my cell phone and try to dial 911.
Call 911.
Mm-hmm. I have to report this.
911, what's your emergency?
Yes, my name is Dr. Brian Brown, and I unfortunately am sitting in traffic, but I had noticed to my right, where the new church is being built, that there seemed to be a very violent altercation between two people. There are three there, but two of them seem to be really angry at each other, and I did see physical assault happen.
Physical assault?
Mm-hmm.
Now, what do you mean by that exactly?
Pardon me for not being more direct. It seems one party struck the other with the back of their hand.
Oh, goodness, that sounds terrible. Now, where did you say this was at?
It was at the new construction for the new church.
Which church is that, sir? There's a lot of them.
The New Covenant Church?
Light of Life Church?
A Light of Life Church. Sorry, I'm not quite up to date with all the new churches around, but the Light of Life
from
Church.
Cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
You said somebody hit somebody.
Yes.
Who hit who?
One. I'm not close enough. There was to know exactly who it might be, but it seems that there was two parties fighting, and one party was older. It seemed to be a maternal figure of some sort that was wearing a red jumper with a white jacket over, and then she was the one who struck the younger party, who I assume to be her daughter. I'm just making assumptions at this point, but her daughter was wearing a blue graphic t-shirt and jeans.
Right. Thank you. Yeah, I've taken notes on all that information, sir. We're going to get somebody out that way through dispatch right now, as a matter of fact. While I've got you on the phone, let me ask you a couple more questions.
Of course.
Did the person that got struck bleed?
From the initial hit of the other party, no, but it seemed to have caused an episode in the younger party. I was sitting here witnessing the young woman start hurting herself after being struck by who I assume is her mother.
And that caused bleeding.
It seems as if she was not bleeding until she caused herself to start bleeding. But again, I'm about 50 yards away, so
That's
I'm not right there.
terrible. Did she bleed a lot?
Like I said, I don't have a great line of sight to the extent of her wounds, but I'm sure one of your first responders can let you know that as soon as they arrive.
Did it feel like she bled a lot?
These questions are a little bit uncomfortable. Why may I ask why you're asking me such personal questions about someone I am not?
It wasn't exciting for you.
No.
All right. Well, we appreciate the information, sir. Dispatch has got somebody out on the way. They should be there in about 15, 20 minutes. We appreciate the phone call. Is there
Of
anything else I
course.
could do for you?
Not for me.
All right. Well, you have yourself a really nice day, okay?
You as well. Bye.
She's gone.
I hung up first. That was creepy.
So, Brian, you sit there in your car. The mother drags her into the church. You see a preacher, tall man in a suit, has opened the door when she got pulled in. This is while you were on the sure. And we're going to let you sit in the car for a little while. I'm sure the
Oh,
traffic
joy.
will eventually clear up, but we are going to change scenes to Daisy. Daisy, you are at the Quick Mart. I'm assuming to buy a carton of cigarettes.
Yep.
You are walking in now. It's probably hasn't seen new since the 80s. And I mean, it's clean, but not new by any means. Earl Graves, the owner, is working when you walk in. Man in his early 50s, probably. Smokes a lot of cigarettes too, so his face kind of looks like it, but he's a very religious man. Hey, Daisy.
Usual. Paul Ball.
Carton.
Right.
Hey, you
She's
know,
sorry, she's not very talkative, and he probably knows this. Like, she comes in and always gets the same thing, like every couple days.
I assumed you would. What are you wearing today? Describe
Uh,
yourself for the audience or anybody who joined us tonight.
She always wears like these worn jeans that are kind of baggy with the bottoms stuffed into her slightly oversized, very well worn boots. Doesn't ever wear much fanciness. It's usually just old cotton t-shirts, and she's wearing a dark gray one right now and a camo jacket. She always has a jacket on, but she cycles between 2 or 3. Today it's the camo.
Right on. Hey, Daisy, I've always been wanting to ask you, what's it, you've been overseas, right? I mean, I always wanted to travel, but, you know, when Lacey's mama got sick and went on to heaven, I just didn't have the heart. But, you know, as we are told in the book of Romans, consider that our present sufferings are not worth comparing with the glory that will be revealed in us. Praise the Lord.
She rolls her eyes and pulls her wallet out of an inner pocket of her jacket and gets some money. She usually deals with cash and pulls out a few crumpled bills and just places them on the counter. I wasn't cross seas for vacation, and you know that.
Well, no, I was something I wanted to do. I figured you were over there for more serious matters. But you made it back alive, God willing, right?
more or less.
Well, looks more than less to me. That gonna be it for you? Don't need no beer?
She scratches her lip a little bit and looks over at the coolers and looks back at him. And then she'll leave and step over to the cooler and take out a 12-pack of PBR, comes back over and slams it on the counter, gets her wallet and licks her fingers and flips through some bills and tosses those on the counter too. I spend more money here than I do at the grocery store.
And we do appreciate it, as he's punching in the numbers on this old cash register, and you can hear the as some still, impact receipt printer prints off on this little narrow strip of paper. You don't even say what an item is, just a bunch of numbers on a little piece of paper. Nobody could ever tell what those receipts mean. You see them lying all over the place if you look hard enough. Takes your money, gives you your change. You ought to start thinking about joining us in church on Sundays, Daisy. Maybe that takes some of that scowl off your face.
You can save the recruitment speech. I got other stuff I got to do on Sundays, but thank you. Why are you asking about overseas? What'd you hear?
Here?
Well, there's a lot of rumors going around small town, a lot of rumors specifically involving me, so...
Oh, Daisy.
You ain't never been that curious before. I come in here, I buy my cart, and I leave. Why?
I'm pretty sure you know every rumor that's about you, and it's just everybody who thinks you're a wackadoo. I know you're not a wackadoo. I mean, you're peculiar, but I don't think you're a wackadoo.
Oh, you have to say that. I keep you in business.
Yeah, well, you and a couple others.
I'll see you in a couple days. And she just turns to leave on that note.
When you push out through one of the double glass doors, the other one, they keep locked all the time. He says it's for the teenage beer dashers. You get the door about halfway open. You're one step out and you can hear the sound of screeching tires, broken glass, and twisting metal. What do you do?
Is it coming from outside or back in the store?
No, it's from down the highway on
Highway.
Yeah, just right outside of town, probably.
She'll spare it a brief glance, but go upon her way and go over to her truck and hoist the beer into the bed.
From your vantage point on the highway where the Quick Mart is, you can see the end of town. You can see both ends of town, looking left and looking right, one north, one south. Looking both ways, on a clear day, you would see the highway go into some trees, sort of just down this slight hill, and disappear off to the left. Looking to the south, you'd see the same thing, only the other direction. When you look to the north, which is where this sound seems to be coming from, you don't see any accident, but you do actually see this little lingering cloud of dust or smoke or something that has puffed out from behind the trees down around that hill and curve. So obviously something went up, and from the sound and the fact that you can see the cloud from here, it had to have been significant.
She starts to get in her truck, she steps up on the little area. What's that even called? She steps up and she's got the door open and she's hanging on to the open door, kind of narrowing her eyes down and seeing the puff of smoke and starting a cigarette, trying to decide if she should do anything about this.
Right. What year was your truck?
1977.
77? You could have put running boards, that extra step along the bottom.
There you go. Yeah, she's on the running boards, kind of gauging the situation. Can I roll something, to kind of get a better look from how far I am?
What do you want to know? I may just tell you. You can roll if you want to roll something. I know I don't let you guys roll much.
Do I see any bit of like any car color? Because I'm assuming that I would know most everybody's car in the town, or is it too far to?
It's too far to see that.
Okay. She'll consider it for a moment and then roll her eyes, take a puff of her cigarette, and turn right around to go back into the Quick Mart, not putting it out as she walks through the doors. Hey, you got a phone back there?
Daisy, you're back already. Yeah, I got a phone back here.
All right. Well, I think there's an accident down the road a bit.
Oh, good Lord!
Phone on me.
I hope nobody's hurt. God heaven! And you hear him start to mumble a prayer as he picks up the phone.
Listen, can you just give someone a call?
Oh, I'm calling it in right now, Daisy. I'm calling in right now. I'm getting the sheriff on the phone.
All right. Because a prayer ain't exactly a call. I don't see you reaching for a.
Daisy, a prayer is a phone call to the man who can save us all.
Even. I set you up for that, and I swear to. All
I
right,
should call him first, and then call the sheriff.
Okay. All right. Sure. Fine. That'll really solve it. That'll really get. I mean, I'm sure your God or whatever is more reliable than the sheriff anyway. So you just have fun with that. And she turns away and goes back to her truck. Is that in the direction of where I have to go to get back home?
Home for you is going to be just a quick jut right across the highway into the other side of town. Down to the inn, take a left, go down to the inn, take a right to the very long drive that goes to.
She is a hard ass, that's for sure. But as we kind of saw with the situation with the boy, she's not completely heartless. There's still some part of that American soldier part of her that will help people. You just got to really dig for it. So she's gonna wait there in the parking lot and just smoke through her cigarette box and see if the police show up. And if it takes too long, which she kind of expects with her lack of hope in the judicial justice system,
right?
If it takes more than like 15 minutes, she'll go check it out.
So we're gonna leave Daisy in the parking lot with her cigarette. Unfortunately for Daisy, it's just maybe 30 or 40 seconds, about as long as it takes for Earl to make the phone call. He comes out to join you to smoke a cigarette, and so you're going to have to deal with his attempt at small talk. But we are going to change scenes now to our local law enforcement. Roy.
Howdy.
Roy, you are on patrol. What I would like for you to do, sorry, this was one of those ones I was going to remind you of at the top, like I did Austin. I dropped this one, so I'm going to put you on the improv spot. Give us an idea of what patrol is for Roy, and just in case anybody has forgotten or we have anybody new, why don't you, since I don't think they're going to picture you in a uniform, or they shouldn't picture you in a uniform. So tell them, what do you look like when you're on patrol? And your vehicle too, please.
Well, Betsy's just a good old girl. Crown Vic. Classic. It's gray. They don't let me do nothing fancy with it. But it says Sheriff's Department on the side, of course. Got the lights on top. Me, myself. It's a bit sunny. Got the aviators on. Hair, of course, still short, crop, close. Been letting it grow out a little bit lately. Probably need to get a cut. Jeans. Argyle. So rolled up, It's a long sleeve button up, but it's too hot out here for that shit. Badge on the hip like always. Sidearm. And the extra. Down by the ankle. Stetson's riding shotgun.
You do have a Stetson. Nice.
As for what patrol looks like itself, I'll cruise the streets, but mostly I aim towards the, the more fun side of town from a certain perspective. You know the ones. Trailer parks. It's just good to keep an eye on them. All kinds of domestics pop up damn near every hour of every day.
I believe
even in
there's
a
a
small
rowdy
ass town like this.
Yeah, I believe there's a rowdy bike gang in town.
Well, I'll try and keep an eye on it. Wait for calls. Dispatch likes to keep me busy as best she can. But it's not like there's a whole hell of a lot going on in this town.
At this particular moment, I'm going to do some fancy camera footwork here for a moment. Oh, actually I'm not, because I didn't make a Sabella solo. You see Sabella. She's walking down Main Street toward her shop. So I'm going to go ahead and bring her into the scene. Sabella, what does Officer Roy, or Officer Applebaum, what do you prefer, Roy, that people call you? Just
Deputy.
Roy. Deputy. You see the deputy, patrolling, slow cruise. What do you look like today?
What do I look like?
Yeah, for Roy.
Well, today Sabella will have her long platinum hair, like pinned straight down her back and shoulders, with that one magenta stripe in her hair. She probably has a tank top on, kind of a crop top showing a little bit of her midriff, but nothing too crazy. Her pants have a bunch of rips and chains on it. Safety pins going down one side. Huge, stupid boots with the buckles. You know the ones. Her tattoos are, this is the first time you're actually seeing Sabella's tattoos. Usually she wears a hoodie or long sleeves, but today you see her whole right arm is a sleeve of tattoos. Has a black cat, silhouetted by a moon, sitting on a skull. You see a raven. You see some spider webs going down her forearm. A pentagram, a dream catcher on the back side of her arm. She's got quite a pretty cool collection, all black and white. There's nothing in color.
She's got a whole Daisy's house on her.
Yeah, seriously. The list goes on. But she's wearing her dark makeup like always, real heavy eyeliner, black lipstick, the 9.
Right. This is we'll say Friday mid-morning. Where might you be walking from as you're heading back to the store?
Probably Wendell's.
For food or supplies or
Food.
Food?
Coffee, probably.
coffee?
Yeah. Sabella eats like a bird. That's why
Right.
she's so skinny.
So, Officer Roy, you see Sabella walking back with a cup of coffee in her hand, as described. Let me ask you a question. put you on the spot. How does Roy feel about Sabella?
You know, like I said during the interview, she's a nice enough kid. She's a little fucking weird.
That's like the official statement on Sabella.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Ain't got much more to say. Terrible thing what happened to her parents, of course. My heart goes out to the kid, but she's fucking weird.
Do you stop, ask anything, or drive by and wave? Drive by? What do you do?
Oh, he slows to a full stop. It's not like there's much traffic. He rolls the window
No.
down. It's a hand crank because it's an older model. He leans out. Hey, Sibby. Hot topic called. They said dial it back a notch.
She
And he
gives us
drives
this-
off.
Oh, fuck. She just gives like a sarcastic haha and like flips him off as he's driving away.
Oh, he slams on the brake real fast. And he pokes his head back out again. By the way, I still need your signature on that crackpot fucking statement if that's what you're actually gonna make. And I still need to talk to Daisy.
Yeah. What you can do is fuck right on off. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. And he keeps on rolling.
Just as you start to roll off, Deputy,
We have a 1050J3 on Highway 161, Mark 4.3.
Oh, shit.
for the audience, that's a motor vehicle accident with injuries and a blocked roadway.
Lights
about-
flip on.
Yeah, you're about 6 to 8 blocks from the highway and the incident told. It's not really that far.
Do I have to make a U-turn in order to go that direction?
Yes.
I want to freak. I mean, if I do, then I want to freak Sabella out. Not gonna
Yes.
lie. So yeah, he flips on the lights and the siren and guns it right back down the street, like donuts in the middle of the street. Because again, it's not like there's any traffic, and just like zooms, like revs that engine of that old Crown Vic right up behind her. Just hits the horn a couple of times as he speeds by her.
Yeah, she just claps. Oh, yes, very good. Your dick size is compensated.
I always love putting you two together, but thank you, Sabella. We're going to switch back to Roy now. Roy, from what you can see, and it's confirmed when you get upon the scene, you are the first one there. There's a tractor trailer with impact markings. There is a gray sedan that has run up on the hood of a black sports car, decapitating the driver of the sports car. Still the wrong music. There is what stops you from driving your Crown Vic right straight up on, leaving just the bare minimum of space that you would need for any incoming safety equipment. You're stopped because in the center of this area of the highway, there is a larger than normal raccoon that is just splattered all over the road. And you can see that there's bits of fur stuck in the wheel and bits on the car from where you're at. Just on your general observation of this gruesome scene. The interesting thing is the fetid smell, like this raccoon is already rotten, kind of hangs in the air. Not super strong, but You smell it. What do you do? Oh, yeah, you know what? I'm going to, we'll let it keep it together decide. Why don't you, that I wasn't going to do. Roll willpower.
I do not, in fact, keep it together. That is an 8.
So tell me what you do. We're keeping the 8 in mind.
He pulls off to the side, and just the stench of it, like, you know, he was first on the scene to the fire that killed Sabella's parents. He smelled, you know, some pretty disgusting, horrifying things. But something about this one immediately turns his stomach. Maybe the breakfast at Wendell's this morning wasn't great or something, but it just turns immediately, and he throws the car door open and just projectile vomits basically all over the side of the road. And then there's a second wave of it when he realizes the grisly thing that he saw in that car too, the brutally decapitated body. And somehow more, like there's somehow more. He thought he had evacuated the entire contents of his stomach, and there was yet even more.
The thought of the decapitation is confirmed as when you start to raise your head after the second episode of retching, you see the head lying across the highway a long ways off from the car. It must have somehow gotten thrown.
Roy unbuckles his belt and steps out of the vehicle, trying not to get his own vomit on the soles of his boots, and goes around to the back where he's got a series of tarps to cover up stuff like that. And then, he'll spread one out, lay it over that, keep it out of view of anybody that happens to be driving by.
The driver of the tractor trailer eventually comes around to you. He's befuddled and very upset by the whole thing. The black sports car had crossed the center line and hit head on with the tractor trailer. You can see the front quarter panel of his truck was clipped, messed up, but not nearly the damage done to the other cars. The sports car then was spun on that impact, facing the opposite direction when the four-door sedan behind it slammed into it. The front wheels of the sports car ran up on the hood of the sedan, decapitating the driver. The driver of the tractor trailer had been unconscious. He's coming awake now. When he stumbles out, you can see he's had hit his head or something. Everyone else is dead.
Is this somebody Roy knows or an out-of-towner?
Out of town.
He kind of puts an arm out to take the tractor trailer driver by the shoulder and kind of lead him back over to the car, and opens up the back and just sets him down. Now I need you to breathe. Paramedics are on their way, all right? It's fairly clear what's happened here, just from...
That goddamn thing was coming right at me, I swear to God, though. The only reason I'm alive, I saw an angel. When I saw that car coming, I knew what was going to happen. I knew everything was going to be all right, though.
Well, that's fantastic for you.
You know, I didn't believe in God. I saw an angel. I'll believe in God now. And guarantee I'm going to be in church on Sunday.
Why don't you lay down for a minute, all right? Just spread out on the back seat there. It's fine. Maybe don't go to sleep, though. You sound like you got a concussion.
Yeah, he's got a pretty good goose egg going.
And I radio to dispatch. Hey, if y'all haven't sent paramedics this way, you best get on it fast.
They give you the "they're on the way, deputy" routine.
Tell them to bring a couple of body bags.
Anything else special that you want to do?
I'll just look at that scene.
I'm going to bring all of you up so that you're all aware. For one reason, it makes so many scenes, and then I find out the one I should have made and didn't do. Daisy, I'm curious because of where you set yourself up. I hadn't anticipated this, which is why I didn't have a possible scenario for that. But don't let that change anything. From your vantage point, you can see the sheriff or the deputy. As a matter of fact, you saw from where you are, and because Providence is literally quite small, it's only a quarter, it's not even a quarter of a mile from where you're at, and it's fairly open. You saw some exchange between Sabella and Roy. You saw Roy flip the U-turn so that he could come back your direction towards the highway, screeches to a left, heads down north in the direction where you saw the action. Does that change what you're doing?
Nope, it's getting looked at. So at that, she nods a goodbye and flicks her cigarette out and gets in her car. She has an open distaste for Roy, but as long as it's getting looked at and dealt with by somebody, then she can get her nose out of it.
Right. Brilliant. Well, yeah. Sheriff's Department is on it. They got Johnny Law on the spot. No more concern of yours. And with that, we are going to go ahead and take a 10-minute break. And so go get something refreshing to drink. I'm drinking, because it's Heartland, beer in a can tonight.
Yes.
And yeah, make sure you wash your hands, and we'll be right back. I heard that snicker. We are back. A little bit of noise is okay because it makes my meters move and lets me know that I'm on. And that you're on. And we're on. Welcome back from the break. It was just not that long ago when the drowning of the boy, Arnold Fincher, happened. This afternoon, early evening, as it's getting on, is the funeral. It's fairly open to the public considering how small this community is, and everybody knows everybody. Lots of people considered the Finchers friendly or friends, or at least to pay their respect. Plus, it's just the country thing, in a sense. I knew people growing up that just went to funerals because they were local. So let me ask you this. You're not obligated, of course. Who's going to be attending the funeral of Arnold Fincher out of this group? We'll just go around then. Let me start with Brian. You going to go?
Yes, absolutely. If you'd like me to elaborate, I absolutely would. So off the record, Arnold's father, Stephen, is a part of my AA group every Sunday morning. Stephen had made great progress. He had just received his 7th month chip of sobriety, and I had really seen a turnaround in his life. I would be going as a silent supporter of Stephen and the family. Brian would stick back to the back of the church or wherever the ceremony is being held
Right.
and just observe.
Right on. How about how did that happen? Was it that way before? And nobody said anything? Fix now. Sorry about that.
You gave me the chance
I
to fix
forgot
it.
to say anything.
Yeah, I looked up and was like,
Bubby.
WTF. Was it that way the first
Oops.
time too?
I don't think
Hmm.
so.
Now I'm like, oh, what about all right, anyways.
Oh well, I mean earlier this episode.
How about Daisy? Are you gonna go, Daisy?
Well, funerals are a thing of respect, and I think it would be best if I stay away from this particular funeral, considering that I have a mighty large amount of allegations against me that are quite untrue. I don't think I'd be drawing the right kind of attention, and it's sad. It's a little boy. I don't want to distract from that. I'll say my piece myself when I'm alone. I couldn't save him.
So is it the notoriety, or is it the emotions over the event?
It used to be my job to save people, so the fact that I couldn't and that green goo, whatever you want to call it, just kept coming. It's a bit perturbing. That's why I had to buy an extra carton of cigarettes. I'm gonna be smoking quite a bit tonight.
Gotcha.
But, I mean, I'm not gonna shed any tears about it.
Right.
Being accused doesn't help either. There's a few people I don't really feel like talking to that are gonna be there.
I understand. What about you, Roy?
Be a little fucked up if I didn't.
Thanks, Roy. Sabella?
Oh, I guess. I mean, I was there, saw it happen. You know, what the fuck? Maybe someone will say something about all that moss or something. I don't know. If anything, she'll go just to uphold Daisy's honor, and if anyone says anything bad about her, we'll shut them the fuck up.
Do you have to do that a lot? I'm just curious. Is that a frequent occurrence when you're out and about?
If it comes down to it,
Right.
Sabella doesn't like it when people talk bad about Daisy. You know, she's the town kook, but
So
you
it
know,
does happen.
Sabella's a fucking weirdo, so she's used to people talking about her, but not about. Don't do that about Daisy.
I think it would go both ways. I think that Daisy feels like she can make fun of your outfits, but if she heard Roy call you Hot Topic, she'd get defensive.
Yeah, we got each other's backs.
Yeah.
Right on. All right, so then we're going to cut to the funeral. We'll see you in a little bit, Daisy. That is definitely not funeral music. I think I have some KULT funeral music, though.
What a niche genre.
Indeed. The funeral is at the Light of Life Church. Church is full. Was rather large to begin with, but there's where the new one is being built there, added on. They're building it's like a big metal building, some sort of, modular construction that's big and rather fast and easy to put up. Probably a new sanctuary. Everybody in the community, just about, is there. The Hauser family is there. Some that you might not have even seen in years. waiting for the pastor to come out and get things started. Will Hutchinson, the owner of Hutchinson's, approaches you, Roy. And for the audience, Will Hutchinson is a local businessman. Does rather well. He owns the general store, which goes even further beyond the Western version of the general store. They do have some groceries and stuff there. Not a lot, not as much as going into town to a Walmart. I might get sued for that. A Mallwart. But Will Hutchinson is known as a godly man. God, guns, and family. The Holy Trinity. Most people think he's an asshole. Deputy, it's a pretty sad occasion.
Well, you know it will.
I don't know what those kids were doing down there at the dock, but you know who else was down there, right?
Oh, I sure enough do.
And?
What, you ain't heard?
Heard what?
Who all was there, aside from those kids?
Oh, no, I know who was there. I'm concerned about what you're going to do about it.
I gotta take their statements first. The ones that Sibby's giving me is awful fucking weird. Don't
Deputy.
seem right.
No, it doesn't seem right, and I'm not talking about taking their damn statements. I'm talking about, when you're going to work it up to get rid of that crazy woman once and for all. She hunts all the time. She's an accident away from no longer a pain in the ass. And she doesn't go to church, so you don't have to worry about God looking down on you.
Murder's still a sin, Will, isn't it?
Depends on who you're killing. Killing sinners ain't a sin.
Well, you and I know that.
Yeah, me, you, and the president.
God bless him.
Well, it needs to be taken care of. Shit like this is going to keep happening. I'm sure the kids were probably drinking or something like that, but damn it, Roy, that's what kids do. She's down there on the water fishing with a gun.
You know,
Can't catch
Daisy's
fish like
always
that.
carrying a gun. And then you sure as hell know you certainly can. You and I both been fishing that way.
Well, it's the point.
Listen, ain't no just taking care of Daisy Hamilton. You and I both know that just as well. That woman's got eyes in the back of her fucking head.
That's a brilliant place to fade away from that moment. And let's talk to Brian for just a second. When you come into the funeral, Brian, where do you go?
Brian mainly sticks to the back. He doesn't want to be noticed by
Right.
many, mainly for anonymity purposes.
Might have to make a note of that. Sabella, you probably are one of the hang out in the back crowd too at the church, right? Well, then I think this is a perfect opportunity to introduce Sabella and Brian. So as you two are coming in, Sabella, you're actually right behind this tall, handsome, professional-looking man. I'm assuming probably in a nice suit at a funeral. You can correct me if there's any, or you can tell her if there's anything specific that you want her to know. But as you come in, and both of you sort of just immediately backs to the wall and just kind of scooch around the corner, out of the way, immediately out of the crowd, back in the back. Sabella, you kind of take a half step too far and bump in to Mr. Dr. Brian Brown.
Oh, pardon me. I didn't mean
No,
to.
sorry. I wasn't looking where I was going.
You look very familiar. I know Providence is a small town. You own the Blue Rose, right? Sabella.
Yes. Yeah, I do. That's me.
I've purchased a few books from your collection.
Yeah, you that one about Ted Bundy?
Yes, it was a essay on a number of serial killers.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah. Don't get too many people checking out those books.
Yes, I should probably explain so you don't think I am like Ted Bundy. I am a professor of psychology at Wheat State. So I find those things fascinating, and I read a lot. So
absolutely. Well, I hope that was a good read.
Very informative. I definitely appreciate it, and I will definitely support local business in the future.
Thank you. And she kind of like gives him a half smile, and then like gestures to the front of the church. So how do you know this kid?
Of course. I'm a friend of the family.
Huh.
I know his parents better than actually him.
I see. All right. Yeah. Are they taking it pretty hard?
That's honestly why I came here. I don't know, and I just wanted to see how they were holding up.
Yeah.
How did you know Arnold?
Well, I mean, I guess he's a couple years younger than me. So, I mean, I guess we went to school together, kind of, but
Small town too.
yeah. So you just kind of know everyone, but and she like smooths down the back of her head and like maybe rubs her arm. You heard about the accident?
I heard something went down and he ended up drowning, is what I've heard.
Well, I was there.
You were there?
Yeah. And I saw it happen, and it wasn't a fucking drowning. And she just crosses her arms and like leans back against the wall.
Well, I had heard rumors of it happening in a different way, but I don't usually pay attention to rumors.
That's good. Rumors travel around fast, and half the time they ain't even true, and no one knows what the fuck is happening. I was there. I saw with my own eyes that moss. It was just unnatural. And she just shuts up again, and sucks on her like the inside of her cheek.
Moss. Interesting. I hadn't heard anything about that. And then Brian just gets a little quiet and more reserved and is more observative of your tics.
Brian, how do you know Sabella? Do you know Sabella?
Not well, but Brian had purchased 2 or 3 psychology textbooks, and then a collection of essays from Sigmund Freud.
Right. Sabella, do you know of Brian at all, other than as a customer?
No, just him being a customer. I like vaguely remembered him, but that's about it.
Brian, is she the type of girl that you would ask out for a beer?
Yeah, he's a confident man.
Hey.
Sabella, is he the type of guy that you would go for a beer with if he asked?
Honestly, Sabella hasn't dated really. I mean, she can say that he's attractive for sure, but
Yeah, just right. Assuming on an even playing ground, all things being equal.
sure.
He's your type. I mean, he at least looks good enough.
He is attractive. I would not say he is her type.
Okay. That's good. Just curious. Just want to know.
Yeah. No, she he's a good looking dude. He's older. Right?
Yes, he looks in his 30s,
Yeah.
How old are you?
early 30s, 32.
32.
Okay, so he's 10 years older basically than her, but yeah, he hot.
Sabella, you notice that as you're ducking your head talking to Brian, and you look up kind of to see what's going on, feels like it's taken a moment for some reason all of a sudden. You notice one of the Hauser women turning her head back around from obviously having been just looked at you, but when you looked up, she turned her head, so you caught just the end of that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when the three of you notice Reverend Page come out from the back. There are a couple of church deacons that sit in some chairs up by the pulpit. Where the family is in the front rows is obvious. There's lots of moaning and wailing. The parents are beside themselves. The Reverend's in a straight black suit, buttoned up, no sort of collar or lapels or anything. It goes up straight, almost like a priest jacket, but there's no white collar. His hair is black mixed with gray, thick, but cut above the collar. And he smiles at everybody. And you can't really tell how old he is. You're guessing maybe 50s, late 50s, could be 60s, but he sometimes, when you're thinking, looks a little younger maybe, but he's got to be older than that. And he gets to the pulpit and looks out across the crowd. It's gathered, smiles, and gives the family a sincere look, with a little bit of a smile. For God so loved the world that he sent his only begotten Son, and whosoever believes in him will not perish, but have everlasting life. Just think about that. Everlasting life. Death is not the end. Some might even say it's only the beginning. If you believe in the Lord and the powers of right and good, you will find what is beyond this life. There's no crying, no pain. You know the story of Lazarus, right? Jesus prayed to his Father and cried out with a loud voice, "Lazarus, come out!" The man who had died came out. His hands and feet bound with linen strips, and his face wrapped with a cloth. And Jesus said to them, "Unbind him and let him go. You have no doubt in the power of God." You know, there's a story of a man who hadn't been going to church very much. I see some new faces in here. I know some folks are from out of town. I see some local faces too. And this man came and visited my house. And he hadn't been to church in a long time. I, of course, was welcoming him, invited him to stay for supper, sit down and have a drink afterwards, some coffee. I heard that chuckle out there. I'm not the kind of drinking. I'm talking about a godly drink. He didn't say much. I could tell he was troubled. So I just built us a fire in the fireplace, and we both had a seat and the chairs there in front of the fire. It was just quiet. I thought about God. And I don't know what he thought about, but after a little bit, he reached over and grabbed the tongs. You know, the fire tongs that you got there next to the fireplace. I don't often use them. I just use that poker for everything. Get a goddamn poker after it. That's what I do. He grabbed them tongs and reached in there and pulled out this hot coal. About this big, glowing red. Laid it on the stone hearth right there in front of the fireplace and just sat back, looked at it. Took a while. He looked at it, watched it go from red until it was black and white. Then he reached over there with his bare hands and picked that coal up, tossed it right back in the fire. Stood there and looked at it, and I was watching it too, and that little coal just burst right back into the flame, and within moments was just glowing bright red. Without a word, he turned around, grabbed his coat, put on his hat, set his cup by the sink, walked to the front door, and before he left, through a half-open door, he turned around and said, "Thank you for dinner, Reverend, and the fiery sermon. I'll see you in church on Sunday." You see, there's always something after the end. And these parents are feeling the pain now because we're supposed to feel the pain now. They'll get over it. It'll pass. They'll see what's coming. And there's lots of things coming. I won't spoil it all with warnings about the future. But do not doubt the power of God. Let us pray. And he begins a prayer. He still rants for a while and gets a little fiery in his sermon, mostly about doing good now, because hell is on the other side. Do the three of you who are at the funeral want to do anything before you leave? It's pretty typical Midwestern funeral. There's the sermon, everybody leaves, they carry the body out, put it in the car, there's a big long procession to the graveyard. An old country graveyard, about 1.5 miles out of town. If you look around, you'll find headstones there dating back to the 1800s. I don't know if you go all the way out there with the family and the close ones, or if you want to do anything special, but...
Well, I know
Sabella would not go out to the graveyard because she don't got a car.
No. Sabella, you're thinking about, oh, it's a good thing I don't have a car, so I don't have to go out. Is that kind of your opinion, or would you go had you had a car?
No.
Yeah? Okay.
No, she wouldn't have gone. So she's just using this as an excuse,
Right.
basically.
As you are saying your goodbyes to any of the locals that you might know or bump into and you have to be pleasant with, I won't make you role play through all that, but there is that kind of stuff. I know I always get anxious around those sort of situations about running into somebody who really likes me, but I don't have the time.
Oh, yeah.
So you are bumping through the crowd on your way out. Everything's ending. You sort of step on somebody's toes. You're shoulder to shoulder. It's kind of crowded as everybody's just sort of funneling out because there seemed to be a line of people. And even though you're at the back, you didn't get that I'm at the back advantage of getting towards the exit. And when you look up to politely say, excuse me, or whatever Sabella might do, if you would respond in a different way, feel free to interject. It is that Hauser woman that you saw that had been staring at you. And she stops and stares you in the eyes.
She just raises a brow and stares right back at her.
A little glint comes across her eye and almost a patronizing smile. God loves you.
I'm sure he does.
We're going to cut to Daisy. Daisy. We don't want funeral music. Daisy. It's long after the sun has set today. You and Bess sit quietly in the bed of Old Reliable. That's capitalized. Is that the name you come up with?
Yep.
Good. You've been out here for nearly 2 hours, but you're wide awake. What are you waiting for?
I've been hearing a lot of coyotes recently, and, well, Bess is getting old. It's only a matter of time before they try to come up on the property and mess with her, and it's hard for me to sleep hearing them howl in the middle of the night. So, part just because Daisy likes to hunt, part a relief for the weird bits of emotions she feels about this boy and the funeral that went on today. She's just sitting in the bed of her truck with it's down, and she's sitting and her feet are dangling down, and Bess is up on the bed with her, and she has one hand on her dog, one hand holding another cigarette and a gun on her lap, and she's just watching the sun fall and the moon come out and listening for those howls.
You're a hunter. It's always been your role. As a child, you trapped rabbits. You were hunting fowl before you were 10. You got your first deer at 11? Your daddy saw it in you early. Knew you had prowess. He knew you were a killer. There's a faint rustle of motion through the field grass that catches the ears of Bess. She draws up and she lets you know where to aim down. What do you do?
I'll pick up my gun. It's a Beretta Storm semi-automatic rifle. I've attached a few things to it. Old gun, I've had it for a long time, so I've had lots of time to modify it a bit. And she's got a scope and a light that she affixed to the top of it. And I'll flick my cigarette out and lift my gun up and peer through the scope before I get down and investigate any further.
It's black. You listen, you can hold your breath. You might have a sense of them. Flip on the spotlight and surprise a band of coyotes. Coyote. Do you open fire?
How many are there?
6, 7.
6? That's a lot of them.
You got the gun for it.
She does. She'll take a moment, and it's just this tense stare down between Daisy. Her one eye is just piercing and flickering between each of them, trying to see if there's any others. And she sees that one is about to move, either to turn tail or go for her, and she'll shoot.
They all seem to notice you. And you open fire. And for some reason you realize that one bullet's not going to be enough, so you pull the trigger again and again, and a hail of bullets streaks across this open field. Yips tear through the air. You might have got them all. How do you feel?
She drops her smoking gun from her eye, and she definitely feels exhilarated. I mean, that was a bit of overkill, even for Daisy, but there was just something in her. There was 3, 4, 5, 6. They're in my field. They're on my property. They could attack me. They could attack my dog. They could eat somebody. They could go after Sabella. They could do all of this harm. They're pests. And it's just this madness inside of her mind as she was unloading on them. And she feels a rush of relief. And she feels good.
You have your sidearm on you?
Oh, yeah, always.
You can hear one of them out there laying in the field still whining. It's not dead yet.
There's a strap on her big gun, and she'll knock it over her shoulder. Tell Bess to stay, and pull her pistol from its holster, check real quick to make sure it's locked and loaded and ready, and head on into the field following it. She's done this lots of times before. Coyotes are a little more dangerous, but it's usually skunks, possums.
Oh, yeah.
So she has a confidence about her, just kind of any other day going out in the field, taking out this animal.
Walking over to your fresh kills in towards the sound of the one that you've got to put out of its misery. A stench of rot hits you. At the same time that happens, you can hear Bess growling from the truck behind.
I'll kind of wrinkle my nose a little bit and then turn and just like whistle for Bess, like for her to come to me.
She don't come out of the truck.
How far am I from the coyote in the field?
Just right there. 20 feet. You can see the others, but it's kind of dark, and without getting a little closer, you can't tell, but something doesn't seem right about these coyotes.
She deliberates for a second, but Bess not answering her whistle isn't a normal thing. And that dog is the closest thing she is to other than Sabella. And so she will turn around and go check on Bess before going further into the field. What is it, old girl? Come here.
When you get just a couple steps away and start going towards her, she gets a burst of confidence, bounds out of the truck, immediately to your side.
Oh, that's a good old girl. And she gives her a scratch on the ear. Now you stay close now. There's something in the air. Who you growling at? And she's looking at Bess like seriously, like Bess can respond, like she's a person who can use words.
Right.
You hear someone around here?
She just looks out towards where the sound of the not dead yet coyote is coming from.
All right. You got my back, all right? And with another scratch between Bess's ears, she'll head back into the field.
When you turn when you look back up and start going back that way, you can hear that sound that she makes when she licks her lips. And you notice that these coyotes that you've just killed, they look as if you had killed them, well, in July, 4 days ago. They stink of death and rot.
Just ain't right.
They are sort of collapsed upon themselves a little bit. You can see some maggoty looking creatures about the ears and nose. Save the one that's not dead, which looks like you've just shot it in its hips. It can't get away. It's trying to pull itself along with its front paws, but the field won't let it.
She gives the dead ones a wide berth, kind of skirting around them in a circle, like keeping a few feet or so between herself and the bodies, and her face is just like steely and scrunched up and confused because there was that roadkill just a couple days ago on the day the boy died, and she knew it wasn't there.
Make me a willpower check.
Strange happenings. Okay. I discovered something, maybe. 14.
No, that's keep it together
Was that?
regarding the whole situation, which you do pretty good, but you are slightly affected by this, and so I'm curious as to how Daisy might be slightly affected by this.
Well, everyone around town knows that she's paranoid. And despite people telling her otherwise, ever since she came back, when it comes to everything that she sees, no one believes her. Ever. But this is...
Yeah, they won't believe this either.
Yeah, they won't believe this, and some part of her thinks that. And so there's a bit of that paranoia that kind of racks in her brain a little bit, and she starts looking around more as if other things are going to come out of the darkness. She whistles again to keep Bess close, and she's got the light on her gun, and she's slowly circling around.
Nothing really changes. What do you do with the one that's still alive?
After taking a moment to look around and kind of making a mental note to talk to Sabella about this, she'll go to the one on the ground and crouch next to it, and holding her pistol, switching it to her non-dominant left hand, she reaches out and gets some of the blood from the wound on her 2 fingers and kind of rubs it against her thumb and smells it.
It's normal. Smells like iron.
And she'll, again, confused, but what can you do? She'll take her pistol and shoot it in the head. But this time she's going to stay crouched and stay watching and stare at that body until it does what she thinks it's going to do, like the rest of them.
The shot rings out across this field as the camera pulls back from Daisy and this now dead coyote. She waits for something to happen. That's where we're going to end tonight's episode.
Say, if nothing happens, she's gonna take it home and just like keep her eye on it, like I'm watching you to this dead body.
Good to know. Good to know. Thank you, players, for coming out and playing tonight. That was so much fun. Not a whole lot of dice rolling, but I think some cool storytelling happened. Let's go around the board. You can vent if you need to. Get your plugs in. Say whatever you'd like to say. Let's start with the new guy, Brian. Austin.
Hi. I had a great time as usual. So excited to be on this next series, next season. Excited to see where it goes. Ready to see how this plays out. I'm excited to get to know everybody and, psychoanalyze their characters.
I'm liking that. I'm liking Brian already. Where can fans find you once we have some?
You can find me on the social medias at AustinVanB1 on the Twitter, or just Austin Van B for the others.
Some more. I said some more, but I turned my head from the mic, so you didn't hear that part. We have fans. Some more fans.
Of course.
Outstanding.
Come join our Discord.
Discord. Deputy Roy. I saw a new side of Deputy Roy tonight.
Is it really new?
Well, it's more developed than I had envisioned, I suppose.
My name is Chris Stonecipher. You can find me on Twitter at Chris Stonecipher. As we came back from break, you got to see my regal orange boy Mew Jackman, who you can find on Instagram at The Greatest Meowman. Every now and then, images of him and his sister Margaret Catwood will find their way onto the internets. As Austin said, make sure you join the Discord. Links are usually in the description, I believe, and especially go check us out on our YouTube page at TTRP Theater for the vast library of content that we have created over the last year and couple of months, including, of course, all of these amazing games that we are doing now as twitch.tv/KULT Divinity Lost. But yeah, our Discord, our TTRP Theater Discord, is alive and popping. The new rank war just started, last week? And I have already lost. So,
Hey, it happens. I quit trying to compete.
Same.
Well, thank you so much for coming to play. Let's go to Sabella, our very own Krista.
Hello, yes, it is me, Krista. Wow. Good episode. Love the addition of Brian. Hello, welcome to our crazy little cult game. You can find me on the Instagram at Krista the Barista. You can also find me on Twitter, but why would you want to? I'm pretty sure that's just at Krista with a whole bunch of E's. I literally post nothing there, so I guess follow me if you want, fans, if you're out there. Yeah, that's all I really got to say.
Well, all right then. That leaves Jaylee.
Hello, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Jahoy_matey. You can also find me on the Discord, which you should very much join. That way you can get involved in all the happenings and all the memes and all the good conversations. Yeah. I'm DMing something Wow, crazy world. It's my first time stepping my little feeties into such a thing, and we're having a lot of fun with it. It's a Dungeon World actual play podcast called 4PCs in a Podcast, and that should be coming out soon. Putting together a podcast when you don't have a lot of skills is very hard. But the good thing is that we have a lot of amazing skilled people and teammates who are all collaborating together, wanting to get these stories out to you, internet. So thank you. And on that note, you can find us on Patreon at TTRP Theater, and if you throw a buck or two our way, you can get a chance to be a named NPC on that show, which is very handy because I need more names, because Rashid wants to ask everybody we come across what their name is, and I'm really running out really fast.
You need a list.
So...
I'll have to show you where the online name generators are.
Yeah, I'm like, Samantha.
They're out there. You can get names on a whim. I actually have a printout somewhere around here that I keep on hand.
I've given up on trying to do medieval names at this point. It's like, oh, his name's Frank, you know.
Yeah, back in the day.
First of all, Southgate Frank.
Southgate Frank. There's a Northgate Frank and a Southgate Frank, and they're two completely different people.
Yeah. Now I can do fantasy names because you can always just go cheesy. I'm Flyweather Green.
I'm Gorbis Stonerock.
Right. See, there you go.
I'm Christopher Stonecipher.
Ow.
Which is a great name.
It's literally not real.
I'm dead.
You sound like a dwarf.
Wait, is that why I was cast as the dwarf in this game?
In every game.
Please make that an actual NPC character.
I thought
Literally
about
Stone
just
Cipher.
my name.
Yeah.
And
He's gonna be
like an
my favorite
archaeologist
NPC.
who knows like ciphers on runes.
yeah, he has a cat.
Amazing.
Oh, well, thank you. Now we've got fun stuff. So come back, watch some other TTRP Theater stuff. My name is Curtis, old Curtis VO on the tweeters, all that good stuff. The social medias. Come join our Discord. All of that. YouTube. You can find all of our stuff on the TTRP Theater YouTube. We are also now, you will find our cult stuff on the Helmgast YouTube as well. So if you're over there looking at their other stuff, you can find us there, as well as some other great cult stuff that's out and about. So yeah, lots of great stuff out there. We're doing fantastic things. You can find out all about them just by going to ttrptheater.com. And when my video production software fixes itself and I can get my in credit reel done, for some reason my software hates that now. Every time I try to load it up, it's like, nope, not doing it. Try to start a new one from scratch. Get all the way to the end. Nope, not doing it. That's the same thing you tried to do a while ago. Not doing it. So I haven't figured that out yet. So I'll get that figured out. Too much stuff, I guess. So yeah, lots of great things. If you want to play Cult, and I think you should, if you're an adult and you like really crazy horror, if you thought we're getting on the edge, well, first of all, come back and watch our other shows. And then you'll realize that we're not. Go, that's why it's an adult horror game. Go to KULTDivinityLost.com. They have all of the starter stuff that you need right there. Some of the music tonight was from the official Cult Divinity Lost soundtrack, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, Murder None in chat. Thanks, Tim. Yeah, there's all kinds of crazy stuff going on in those shows, which I'll throw those out real quick since I don't have the other stuff. On Tuesdays, Sinners and Saints. Come back and watch them. City gangs, like mafia type gangs, and drugs, designer drugs, lots of a murder nun, crazy things. And yeah, and every other Sunday is the Place of Wrath and Tears, and I'm not even going to go down the list of the craziness that goes on in that show. You just go to our YouTube, watch the first one, and we couldn't handle it weekly. It has to be every 2 weeks. 4 times a month is too much. Of that, they're all good. They've been playing those characters for quite a long time, and now they get to put them on stream, so they've already built up this background. And it's gruesome and very culty. There's another kitty, Margaret Catwood. So I'll quit blabbing. Thanks everybody for coming out and watching tonight. It was a lot of fun. Thanks players for putting up with my madness and all of the cats. I love the cats. Be kind to each other. There's too much bad stuff happening. In fact, before we leave, I don't know if I'm going to do a moment of silence, but I will. She'll be missed. She'll be missed. RBG. She'll be missed. Big loss today for this country. Be kind to each other. Wash your fucking hands. Wear a fucking mask. Good night. Sweet dreams. We love you.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Sweet dreams.
Say
Good
it.
dreams.
We love you.
We love you.
Margaret loves you too.
And we love Margaret.